Yo, what's up everyone? I am the Inkill, and in this video I'm going to be walking you through my brand new song Pressure that was just released on Brain Rave music record label. It's available to stream and download now. If you haven't heard the song, go and check it out, and let's begin. Let's have a little look through. So what you won't see on the main screen is that I do have span open up the top. I always have that running so that I can see everything that I'm doing and where everything's sitting in the frequency spectrum. I think the best place to start would be the intro. Let's just go from there. It's very effect heavy in the intro. The intro, it sounds like this. Just loads of effects and different things going on. It started off with this ambient vocal loop that I acquired, and I kind of chopped it up, reversed it, did some little bits and bobs, gives it that kind of eerie tone to lead you into the song. That sounds like this. And then layered with just a kind of distorted pad sound, just doing the root note. Gives it a little bit of depth and tension. Then I've got just another little atmospheric loop going on over the top. As you can see, it's kind of very much up in the upper mids kind of frequency. It's just kind of a bit rattly, a little bit of saturation on there, rolling off a lot of everything else in the lows and the super highs. And then just a couple of little sort of glitchy bits just to lead it in. So stuff like that. As you hear, a little bit of delay on that. Then just impacts, little white noise sound effects, that kind of stuff really. And that continues through bits of sweeps, some Foley here. What is this? Oh, I'll explain this one in a little bit. After that, we have some lead going on here. So this just intro kind of plucky sound goes like this. Kind of slowly filters in using the kilohertz filters, and the plugin I used was Pigments, just a preset world apart. I don't do too much tinkering around with these. I just find something that works, and then obviously EQ, rolling off a lot of the lows and then filtering that in. Just a sort of generic saw sound going on for a bit of that can kind of be heard later on in the track, not so heavy on it, just little bits, just to fill in gaps really. So it's kind of subtle in the actual drop, and it's more of an ambient kind of introduction at the start. I have reverbs and delays in my sends, but on that particular one I've also added the Realm super cool reverb plugin from Native Instruments, just to give it a little bit more ambience to it. Then the guitars. So I tend to write all of the guitars myself on my Fender Telecaster before I do anything in here, but for ease I transpose it all into actual MIDI. Now I kind of work out where it should go and what it is and how it's played and how it should sound. So the lead part, the lead guitar sounds like this. Not too overly complicated. I'm using Odin 2 from Solemn Tones. Really cool guitar plugin. From there I'm going into the Amiga Ampworks, just a basic preset, and then in mono as well, just keep everything in the middle for the actual lead. Then into a virtual mix rack, heavy guitars, one preset, maybe a little bit of tinkering just to get it right. Rolling off the bits that I don't want with some EQ, and then some compression, using Soothe as well on the electric guitar deharsh so that it doesn't sound too annoying to listen to and it sits better in the mix. Then after that I have the rhythm guitars. Again, this not very complicated at all, just a few chords. Sounds like this. They're quite straightforward, using a similar kind of setup for that, but instead of the Amiga amp works, it's the guitar rig, and I think I'm just using just an amp head, just a generic preset, I think, and then just doing some sculpting work with the EQs around it. And that's the guitars for that start part. So then after that, what comes in? Oh, the part I want to talk about, the effects. I kept kind of hearing this in my head, and when I was bouncing down, when I was writing it, and I was just listening to it again in the car, I kept hearing what I thought was a car starting. So I went away and I found a cool car ignition starting Foley sample, and I used that in it. So it sounds like this. Quite subtle. And then, so let's talk about the drums that come in on that intro part. So it's a sort of rocky drums that I've created, bounced down, changed up, and these are the same drums that I use on the track Fill Me Up, that's also on the EP, and to keep it kind of consistent. And they all together, they sound like this. Nothing too crazy, but just nice little rocky anthemic sounding intro, really. And what we're starting to do now is introducing the bass. So it's filtered in. So if we have a little listen, this is what the bass sounds like on its own. And then just some simple builds with the drums, and that's kind of it. We've got a little break. This is the first one, and then the one that's laid on top of that. And I can't quite remember how I created that. It was for a different project. And then just some cymbals on top to give it that high end as well. So altogether it's like this. Awesome. And then so going into the main drop, the drums for this. So I've got, I don't think I used this one, so I did create my own kick drum using Serum, using all the general normal techniques you'd use. Very cool to be able to do your own stuff. But eventually what I did to get this one was, so this is the kick that's in there, is I actually used a plugin called Kick Ninja. Very, very cool plugin, if I've still got it here. So I created it on here. I created it on this, and you can then export it straight out and pull it into your mix, and that's kind of what I did. So I did that, and I like to work a lot in audio if I can. So I did that, and so it's a very simple kind of kick drum. So this is the drum breaks. This is the main drums for the drop. There's quite a lot of things in here. I tried a noisy kick, a red pill kick, my own kick, and settled on one that I created myself, and I use in quite a lot of mine. Snare bus, there's a couple of different layers. So for this, I think it's a noisier sample. Really nice. Good attack and get that fundamental in there. Then a bit of a noise layer. Will sort of fade in, so you're getting the body but without the attacky part, and then just a sort of pre-shift with some white noise, and that kind of makes it a bit snappier. So altogether it's like this. Quite a hard hitting snare. So here is the percussion side of it. This is I put it on its own bus. Pretty simple stuff. And then I think we've got here, it's just a bit of a tom fill. That's pretty much the drums. Quite simple, quite straightforward. Now let's get into the basses for the drop. Again, lots of little one-shots and things from different sample packs. The main bass that carries the tune is this one. So that was created in Serum. I think using a preset that I've tweaked a whole bunch. Two instances of it, you got one on the sides and one in the mids. So a whole bunch of EQs, OTTs, everything to create those sort of bass sounds. And on the sides, bit of texture, some auto pan just to give it a little bit of grit and movement. Some more sculpting and just getting it to not sound so harsh and fit nicely on top. And then yeah, like a whole bunch of these sort of one shots that make it all a lot more interesting. So all together it's like this. But yeah, so that's that main part. Then we come to nice growly kind of stuff, and then adding on top of that lots of different bits that I've cut out, lots of fills and different kind of sounds from all over the place. As you can see, I kind of cut everything up. Some of it's MIDI, some of it's not. And that's pretty much the whole drop.
To beat this fear, we need constant pressure. To beat.
Okay, and so we've also then, what have I actually got? I've got this one and this one. So a little effect going on here on this next part.
Constant pressure. To beat this fear, we need constant pressure. Constant pressure.
And so basically what that was is an AI text-to-speech generator. I created the actual wording for it, and then found the right voice that I wanted for it. So I subscribed to this website where you can do this text-to-speech AI generator, and with that subscription it means you can use all of the samples and things that you create, all of the voices you create for commercial use. So it's just interesting to keep that in mind, because a lot of samples and things you have to have cleared so they can be released, and this is a good way around that. You can just create your own. And yeah, so from there, let's see where we go on from here. So the only real change in this section, rather than having the rock drums, we've got break drums instead. So I created this using a whole bunch of different break loops and samples, and on its own it sounds like this. So actually there's a nice little intro part here as well, so I'll go from here. Yeah, I think there's more processing on the actual buses themselves. Samples are pretty good. I've done some EQs and things just to tidy stuff up, and I think some of these things I've brought in from older sessions as well, so I'm not quite sure what processing I did on them prior to that, but yeah. So, and then it just builds back into the second drop. Yep, and then so we're back into the end. We've got a little bit of reintroducing some of the lead plucks, which is these ones that we had. And then in these parts also there's some little chimes going on as well, which sound like this. That goes on to get bit crushed and then filtered out as it goes on. And then just some effects to finish the end of the tune. Just a nice heavy impact. So that's pretty much this tune in a nutshell. I bounced this out and mastered it in a separate session, which I don't have time to show today. But if you're interested, you can always hit me up and I can talk you through it. So if you haven't already listened to the tune, please go and download it, stream it, hit us up, message, share it with all your friends. Would really appreciate it. And thank you so much for your support. I hope you found this interesting, and I'll catch you on the next one.